Now recording. Well, welcome everyone. We are so excited about this interview with Olympic gold medalist Breeja Larson. Breeja, are you there?
I am.
Okay, well, thank you so much for hopping on with us in this early morning on a Saturday, but we appreciate you hopping on and joining us a little bit. Breeja, let me just dive in with a couple of questions that people have. I mean, how does it feel to be an Olympic gold medalist?
um, Being able to achieve that in the sport is really phenomenal. I think the novelty has died down a bit. It's been a while, but I think that it kind of shows me a lot of perspective of sport in general.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so tell me a little bit. So you have an Olympic gold medal. You specialize in the breaststroke, correct?
Mhm.
Yes. Okay. And so tell me a little bit about how long have you been using Asea? And tell me, what were your initial results with Asea and what have you seen over time using Asea as well?
So I've actually been using Asea since 2009. I started using it my senior year of high school. So I didn't start swimming club swimming until my senior year. So I started a little bit later in life, but I was introduced to Asea by a family friend. And at the time, I was only taking a couple ounces a day. And I just started showing a lot of improvement in the sport in general. I was dropping about a second every week. Oh, it looks like it's not playing on Facebook. They might not have the right one.
Here. Oh, I can go ahead and sort that out. Go ahead and
Okay.
continue there. And then Breeja, do you have your, can you turn your video on at all?
I've tried, but it's been enabled.
Okay, that's okay. Let me go ahead and see if I can do that from my end here. So go ahead and continue.
Okay, so I have been using Asea since the beginning of my swim career, really, and took it all through college and started taking it a little bit more heavily in 2012. My grandma pitched in so we could get more product, and going into that, Asea has been one of the most phenomenal and supporting brands I've ever worked with, to be quite honest. And there were a couple of times throughout my career where my pride got the best of me and I wanted to prove that I was fast without it as well. Because every so often, a lot of people will start giving more credit to product or coaches than the athlete, and that really bothered me. So here's my experience with that. When I took about 6 months off of taking Asea, my senior year in college, I still swam fast, but I was extremely tired. I was not recovering quite as well. And seeing that was pretty eye-opening. So I knew I had the talent to continue to swim very, very fast. However, the recovery that Asea was giving me was non-parallel to the other products I was taking. So once I hopped on back with Asea, within a couple of weeks of taking it, I started to notice the same type of recovery rate. And I've been pretty sold since then.
I love that. And so, and you've had a period of time when you've stopped taking Asea as well, and you've noticed such a dramatic difference while you stopped taking Asea.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing. And so tell me, what has Asea done for you outside of the pool? Have you felt health benefits really from using it even outside of exercise and your workouts?
Yes. So I love the face care line. I'm quite obsessed with it. So being in the chlorine all the time, my skin really dries out and it gets kind of tough finding the right products that will treat my face right. And so since they came out with the face care line a couple years ago, I noticed that my skin looked a lot different from the rest of the athletes at swim competitions. Usually people will break out in some hives because they're on so much chlorine, especially with the air that's been very chlorinated, just because of the environment. And my skin is always really healthy at competitions. And so I'm pretty religious in using all of Asea's products. And even with the Renew Gel, unlike other athletes, I can't really put it on before competition. It's not going to do much because right when we wake up, we hop in the water and it wouldn't stay as well. So I always use it after competition and have noticed that my joints and my muscles stay fairly healthy I've never really had any significant injuries throughout my career. I've been very lucky for that.
That's amazing. Amazing. So tell me a little bit, let's dive into the skincare a little bit as well. So you use the entire skincare line, correct? So the cleanser, the redox gel, the serum, and the moisturizer, yes?
Yes. Mhm.
Okay. And do you usually use that morning and night as well?
Usually 3 times a day, just because when I hop out of the water, I'll probably want to wash my face just to get all the chlorine off. But yes, I'm a very strong user of the face care line.
I love that. And then tell me tell us a little bit more about what else you've been able to accomplish in your career as an athlete.
So I've been a world champion at world championships. I've been a medalist at Pan Pacific Games. I've traveled the world with the International Swim League, along with the FINA World Cup. And I just really been to about 32 different countries for competitions. And Asea has been with me almost every time. The product does get a little heavy sometimes. So every once in a while, there have been a competition or two where I couldn't take it with me. And I just had to kind of suck it up and deal with the fact I was going to be more sore.
Yes. And so tell me a little bit about the regimen that you follow going into a competition. How much Asea do you drink before, during, and after?
I keep it pretty regular all the time. And I think that still goes for diet. If any other athletes or parents of athletes wanted to know that as well, I don't think you should really change your regimen too much before going into competition, because you want your body to feel like it's as normal as everything else. So I usually take the 8-ounce pouch right before practice. And then if I have enough with me, I'll take 8 ounces right after. So any big athletic performance, whether it be a workout or a race, I'm usually taking a pouch right before and right after.
Awesome. That's fantastic. And then, so tell me a little bit more of a specific time that you remember Asea making a really big difference in in either a competition or a workout or whatever it may be.
Mhm. There was one in particular that has always stood out to me, and that was my junior year of high school or of college. We were at the Southeastern Conference championship meet, and I think I probably drank at least 2 gallons of Asea within 5 days. It was so much. I was racing a lot, probably 3 or 4 times every morning and night. And so having 8 ounces before and after each race was adding up. And what was really spectacular to me was probably near the middle of the competition, when the body really starts to break down, it's really tired, it continues to race and tries to perform. I wasn't feeling any lactic acid. There was some slight fatigue. My camera's still not quite working, sorry. But there's still some slight fatigue. However, I didn't have the same lactic acid that I would have normally felt. And that was probably because I about tripled my dosage of how much I would take during a competition.
Wow. That's amazing.
Mhm.
And so how many times were you swimming throughout that time then?
Probably 8 or 9 races a day.
Okay. That's incredible. Wow.
Mhm.
That's
So 8 or 9.
absolutely.
So let's say that's 20 times 8, right? So that's like 160 ounces a day. That's a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, you know, especially in competitions, a lot of people are usually concerned because there are a lot of substances that are banned. Have you
Mhm.
ever been worried about being disqualified or anything because you're taking Asea?
No, not at all. I am randomly drug tested at least once a month for the past 10 years. I've never been worried. So when you go through a drug test, they'll ask you if you need to declare any substances. This can be vitamin C to Pepto-Bismol to ibuprofen, right? Anything that you've taken, whether it be topical or oral, you need to write it down. And I've always written down Asea. I've written it down so much that it's on my file. And so I just have the option whether or not to delete it. So it has been on my drug doping file for the last 10 years or so. And I've never once been worried. If you look right onto the ingredient list, you can read everything on there and understand what it is. There have been so many other products that have tried to be pushed my way, and I'll go through and I can't pronounce half of the ingredients.
Wow.
So having a clean product is extremely important to me. And whenever athletes ask about it, that I feel like that's the biggest thing you can say is the product is clean.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I know that that has been a really big reason why you have continued to take Asea and why you love Asea is because it is
Mhm.
such a clean product, correct?
Mhm. Yes.
Yeah, that's awesome. And tell me a little bit, why do you think that there are other athletes who don't know about Asea right now?
Well, it's not at GNC. It's not on any of the supplement stores. And to be very honest, it's really hard to turn an athlete to a new product. You become pretty loyal to the products that you're on. And so the best thing, honestly, and that's why I go back to how it's such a clean product, is it's not going to hurt them to try it. There's no allergy or allergenic materials in there. It can go better for anyone. My entire family uses it, from my little sisters to my grandma. And I haven't met anyone who's had a bad effect by it. And so having to try and convince athletes just to give it a shot, I really think just has to do with a very honest conversation and saying that all you really need to do is understand what's on the ingredient list, see if it matches up with anything on the banned substance. And if it doesn't, then you can do a little bit more research and look into the factory. Now, that was a really interesting visit. I got to visit the Asea factory in Utah, and that's the only product they make. And that's the biggest thing, because a lot of the time when athletes test positive, it's because their substance was tainted, not from the actual product itself, but maybe they didn't clean the belt line right before. And so their multivitamin was made right after another multivitamin that might have been tainted. So Asea only creates Asea. It has its entire line only having that product. And so there's no way any of the substance could be tainted from the Asea redox.
Yeah, and I appreciate you mentioning that as well. What was it that made you open to even taking a look at Asea and trying it?
My uncle. So the family member that introduced it to me was pretty convincing. And, it didn't taste bad. I'm not a fan of a lot of different chocolate protein powders, and this just tasted like chlorine water, which I was used to. So it was pretty easy for me to just give it a try and realize that, it didn't hurt. So why not? And I started seeing phenomenal results, and I've kept with it since.
I love that. And tell me a little bit about some of the things that you have done that you believe got you to the Olympics. I mean, that's such a huge accomplishment. We know that ASEA was one part of that, but tell us some other things that you think are unique about you that got you to the Olympics.
So I believe mentality behind the sport is huge. It's really huge behind anything that if you want to achieve something great in life, you have to, number one, learn how to be your own best friend, which is really difficult a lot of the time. You have to learn how to constantly cheer yourself on instead of allowing yourself to be a self-deprecating enemy. And so if you can learn where within your mind you're seeing some weakness, whether it be motivation, whether it be confidence, whatever it is, and you need to be able to sit down and work that out with yourself. And so having the determination and also being able to, sorry, I keep getting comments about the camera.
Yeah, sorry everybody. We weren't able to figure out the camera situation before we started the interview. So so we're just working on looking at Breeja's beautiful picture.
um, but if you can understand your mentality behind what you're focusing on and realize where there are inconsistencies or what needs to be improved, understand that your mind is full of mental muscles. And you just have to be very patient and allow yourself to exercise those mental muscles to be in line with the goals that you want to achieve. And outside of the mentality, of course, there was definitely the training and those resources as well. I had a phenomenal coach. We were training probably 6 to 8 hours a day. And with having the right recovery with that workload, it really made all the difference.
Yeah, absolutely. And tell us, do you have any practices that you have in place that are daily practices that you believe really sets you apart with that mentality aspect?
Journaling is a really big one. Making sure that you're writing down your most vulnerable moments when you're in that state of mind. So a really big practice I've already done is being able to write down any doubts while I'm feeling them. Put it aside for a couple hours or maybe a day or two, and then come back at it and look at it as if your best friend was saying that. and then try to answer that situation while you're more clear-minded, and answering it with love, and answering it with the thought that you need to give this person advice, and then being brave enough to take it.
Wow, that is beautiful. That's a beautiful piece of advice. And I appreciate you sharing that. So tell me, Breeja, a little bit, we have a lot of people who are here, who are joining us, who are just trying ASEA for the first time. And maybe they've been trying ASEA for a week, maybe they've been trying ASEA for a couple of months, and maybe they haven't even seen the results that they want to see yet. What would be your advice to them?
Mhm. So first thing is that it's not a caffeinated product. You're not going to get a sudden energy boost right away. And if you don't see any results within a couple of weeks, maybe up the dose. And then I guess just kind of ask yourself, what kind of results are you looking for? When I know it kind of affects people in different ways. As an athlete, I'm always tired. If I'm working out 5 to 6 hours a day, the fatigue is going to be there. But for me, I just notice it within my actual muscle recovery. In the moment, am I able to perform how I need to? I know a lot of people have mentioned that they have better night's sleeps. And it, for me, just kind of depends on where the training regimen is. I fall asleep pretty quickly just because I'm so tired. But, I would look at maybe increasing 1 or 2 ounces with each dose that you're taking, and just being patient, and then doing some more due diligence and research and understanding what are the type of results that other people have had and that you're looking for.
I love that. Thank you for that advice.
Mhm.
And then tell me a little bit more about, your family members who have had experiences with the ASEA products. What are some of the things that you've seen even among your family members?
They don't get sick very often. And when they do, they probably double or triple their intake. So they take much less than I do. I'm taking probably 16 ounces a day or so, or more, maybe even like 32 ounces on most days. They're just taking 2 or 3 ounces every morning. So when they start to get sick, they'll maybe double or triple that dose, and they seem to recover a lot faster than the people around them. But right now, especially through the pandemic, it's been super crucial to remain healthy. And as soon as you have any symptoms of being sick in general, with anything, they've been able to try and double or triple their intake of ASEA and feel better a lot sooner.
I love that. Thank you.
Mhm.
And so, Breeja, tell me, you have been able to accomplish so much in your athletic career. And I know that you continue to see us take ASEA even in your day-to-day life. Do you
Mhm.
notice a difference in your energy or in your ability to sleep outside of exercise? Do you notice a difference in your day-to-day life taking ASEA?
I think so. But honestly, I've been taking it for about 12 years. And so I think I notice more of a difference if I go through a spell of not taking it. Every so often, if I have a week off, then I usually forget to take it just because I'm not in the same regiment of going to the pool. And it might be a couple of days and I'm just feeling a little bit off, maybe getting a little sore from a different workout. And I start to question what I've changed my routine. And then I'll notice, oh, I stopped taking ASEA and then put it in different spots around the house so I can see it and keep it part of my regimen.
Yep, I can attest to that as well. I noticed such a huge difference when I stopped taking ASEA. I've been using ASEA for about 10 years now as well, and I noticed the biggest difference when I stopped taking it. So
Mhm.
I know how that is. So Bria, tell me, you have accomplished an Olympic gold medal. What
Mhm.
are some of your newest goals that you have for yourself as far as an athlete?
Mhm. So as an athlete, I'm reaching the end here pretty soon, and it's been a phenomenal experience, but it's not going to end my fitness. So I plan on being a life customer to ASEA. I always want to stay very physically active. And as I start adding different types of training regimens to my work routine, just because I'm getting a little bit older, and so I need to focus on more quality rather than quantity, it's definitely been giving me more confidence, and I can make these different changes knowing that I do have a product that is going to continue to help me recover.
I love that. I love it. Well, and so Bria, we don't want to take up too much of your time this morning. We really appreciate you hopping on. Apologize for the technical difficulties a little bit this morning, everyone. But Bria, I do have one more question for you, and that is, if any other athletes are on right now and they are taking a look at Asea and wondering if Asea might be a good fit for them, what would your advice be to them?
I say try it. I don't think there's any harm in just trying it. I completely understand if someone is skeptical when a new substance is taken their way. I cannot tell you how many people throughout my entire athletic career that have come to me saying, you need to try this product. If you want to be faster, this is one for you. And I have no doubt, I'm sure that there are phenomenal products out there. I chose ASEA, and I think it would work for any athlete out there. And so with doing your own due diligence and research with every product that you need to try, because that's the scariest thing, is there's no past substance with a lot of the doping committees. Like they won't even tell you that you can take plain protein. They just say, eat as clean as you can. And so any substance that athletes take is their responsibility. And it's a very scary thing to try new ones. And I completely understand that. But again, look at the ingredient list. There's nothing in there that's not on the list, and that's the only thing they make at the factory. Now, quick disclaimer, I actually don't take the vitamins that Asea gives just because they're not made in-house. That doesn't mean that they're not phenomenal, but personally with my athletic career, I've chosen just to stay with the Redox and the Renew 28 because I know they're made in that factory in Utah and nothing else goes through those systems. But I've taken so many drug tests in my life, have always come out squeaky clean with confidence, knowing that I will, that I don't think there's any harm whatsoever to try the product for a couple of months and see. And when you do, I would highly suggest writing down results every day. Write down how you feel, how your sleep was, what you feel like your recovery rate was, and write everything else down as well. When you're going to do an experiment on either a new diet, adding something in or out of your routine, you should probably write down some information before you take the product, while you're taking the product for a substantial amount of time to give it a shot. And then if you go off the product for a bit, see if you notice a difference.
I love that piece of advice. I think a lot of people notice the biggest difference when they go off the product for a little bit. So if there is an athlete who's willing to try it, what would your recommendation be as far as how much to start taking for themselves?
I would start out a little bit smaller. So maybe in the mornings, just try to like the 2 or 3 ounces a day and then build your way back up to it. It does quite have a potent taste. It does feel like you're drinking a pool. I'm so used to it now, I don't notice it. But start out a little bit smaller and then build your way in. And of course, I still get questions all the time. If anyone has any questions, you can always feel free to send me a message through social media. All of my social media is just Breeja Larson. I'm pretty easy to find. And I'm so sorry that the camera hasn't worked. If you're wondering about the validity of this, I'll put out a video on my Instagram and Facebook story so that you can see this was really me.
Well, and Breeja, I think I'm going to share your video to end really quick. So I'm just going to share my screen and show this video of our athletes. Let's see here. I think I've got it all pulled up. So I'm going to share my screen and we're going to show this to end. Any last words of advice there, Breeja, before we show this video?
I would say try the product. It's been a godsend for my career and it can be for yours too.
Yeah, thank you. Awesome. Well, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today, and we'll go ahead and end right after I share this video. Breeja, can you see this? And I'm sharing my screen right now.
Yeah, we're sharing right.
Larson, and I train for a living, and it's the best job in the world. I always wanted to be an Olympic feelings. You can feel everyone behind you. You can feel the eyes of every little girl who's sitting on the couch watching you on TV. It's like you have a whole team behind you to back you up. Being able to get an Olympic gold medal with that, it's like we all won it at the same time. The whole point of swimming is to break your muscles down. You're constantly tired and you're constantly trying to recover. Every practice is grueling. You put in hours of work just to shave off 1/10 of a second. If I had poor recovery in my training schedule, my training would go downhill. It's hard to give 100% if you're really sore in one area or you're just tired. And recovery is everything. Making sure that you're having the right kind of nutrition, the right kind of hydration is everything to the sport. I love having Asea because it's only 2 ingredients and I trust the product. I've been taking it since 2009. But my senior year of college, I had a little prideful moment and thought I could swim with no supplements, just swim with raw power. And I still swam well, but I didn't feel that energy. I didn't feel that spark, that just fire for competition. I started to go back on Asea and I felt more endurance through my race. I felt more power through my race. And it wasn't like a caffeine boost. It felt much more natural. I didn't crash. And that's what I liked about it. It's not a huge burst of energy and then you lose it. It just gave me a bigger mental boost saying, I took my Asea today. I'm going to swim great. I'm Breeja Larson. I'm a professional swimmer and I've been taking Asea since I started swimming in club and it helped me swim all the way to an Olympic gold medal.
All right. Thanks again, everyone, for hopping on with us and have a wonderful day. Thanks again, Breeja.
Bye, everyone. Thanks for joining.